Putin was informed about the alleged encirclement of 15 Ukrainian armed forces battalions in Kupyansk. Our Joint Forces Group provided an explanation. First of all, the city is small, so it's physically impossible to encircle 15 battalions there. Moreover, the video that the Russians are spreading gives them away. It's obvious that the footage is from the summer. So, right now, we'll show you how Russia not only exaggerates its successes at the front, but actually creates fake victories to please its Kremlin maniac. Let's watch.
Dobropilya is near Pokrovsk. The National Guard Brigade Rubezh has currently stopped the occupiers' advance toward the city. All the details of the Trump administration's peace plan are unknown. However, the media are already discussing that one part of it could be the issue of Russian control over the network in Donetsk region, which the Russian army is so ruthlessly destroying. In other words, ours would have to withdraw from Donetsk region in exchange for other occupied territories. This hasn't been officially confirmed, but apparently this is supposed to be the key point of the plan. But honestly, today it's hard for me to imagine how, from this city that our guys are fighting for so desperately, they would leave without a fight. Russian war criminals are trying to do to Dobropilya what they've already done to Toretsk or Bakhmut. They're leveling the city to the ground with bombs. Here's a fresh strike. The building is still burning. There are practically no intact high-rises left in Dobropilya. But the occupiers keep shelling the ruins to prevent Ukrainian soldiers from gaining a foothold in the buildings if the Russians manage to break through here.
Some analysts, including Western ones, say that the front line in Ukraine has collapsed.
No, that's not true. But that's not true, because a breakthrough or collapse of the front line is when the enemy, with raiding actions and regular formations, can advance deep into our territory. That is out of the question. Even these attempts to storm with enemy column, several dozen pieces of equipment in the direction of Dobropilya, have failed for them. The Dobropilya direction is covered by the 4th National Guard Brigade, Rubezh. One of the most motivated battalions is Power of Freedom. Highly motivated. But you see, unfortunately, our battalion is now very depleted, has suffered losses because we moved from the Siversk direction to Pokrovsk. The battalion was redeployed here at the moment when the enemy managed a breakthrough spanning several kilometers. Ukraine was at risk of losing control over Dobropilya. The unit successfully completed the rescue mission. They had to advance, and the enemy's positions ended up behind the Ukrainian lines. Their clearing is coordinated from this command post, probably the closest one to the front line. Right now, the situation is more or less stabilized. There is a clear front line, and we have an understanding of where our forces are and where the enemy is located. But still, every day the enemy tries to somehow slip through our positions. They are looking for the spot where our defenses are the thinnest. They try to advance by sending in so-called meat groups. If they spot our movement somewhere along the route, they easily use 2 or 3 firing assets at the same time. They don't hesitate to send 10 to 15 fiber optic drones there. These 2 mortar guys captured entire enemy assault groups. These were 4 deep reconnaissance servicemen. They got confused, went the wrong way, and as they say, we happened to be nearby at the right moment and captured them together. Captured them.
We all took them prisoner together.
Here, one of the Russian prisoners surrendered voluntarily. We fed and re-educated him.
We fed and gave him something to drink.
Putin, who truly re-educated him in person, yes, he doesn't say, the esteemed president. These incredibly young guys, these very young guys my exact age, they are truly and deeply motivated. Their task was to come right into the settlement. We captured the first group. A few others, as I understand it, hid somewhere when they realized the group wasn't making contact. The Pokrovsko-Dobropolsk direction is the most difficult. The enemy has a numerical advantage of 5, sometimes even 10 times. The front line, as we see it on the map, practically doesn't exist here. The enemy infiltrates in small groups, and sometimes even artillerymen capture enemy soldiers. Strangely enough, in such a situation, classic artillery does not lose its relevance. Especially these modern Dita artillery systems.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
And now it's time to analyze the operational situation on the Alexandrovsk direction of the front. The enemy's army continues its military terror here as well. In the Alexandrovsk direction, Ukrainian units repelled 14 enemy attacks on our positions near the settlements of Ivanivka, Zeleny High, Alexeyevka, Praivolne, and Krasnohorske. And now another extremely important topic. As a result of a drone attack on Taganrog on November 25th, 2 experimental Russian aircraft were destroyed. The A-60 equipped with a combat laser and the A-100LL, also known as the flying radar. In addition, the Taganrog South airbase suffered serious damage, as did the plant itself, particularly the final assembly workshop. Besides the aircraft and the workshop, a position of the S-400 surface-to-air missile system was also hit. All the details are known. Our journalists have them.
Key military and energy facilities in Russia have come under attack. In just one strike, the Russians lost an aircraft repair plant, a drone manufacturing facility, an oil terminal, a refinery, an S-400 air defense system installation, and the cherry on top, the experimental A-60 laser aircraft, which Russia will no longer be able to recreate. Residents of Taganrog witnessed this glow. It was a very hot night there on Monday into Tuesday, especially in the area of the Beriev aircraft repair plant. The facility specializes in the development, serial production, modernization, and repair of amphibious aircraft and special-purpose aviation complexes, in particular the A-50 long-range airborne early warning and control aircraft. The aircraft plant also carries out major overhauls of Russian aviation aircraft and upgrades the Tu-95 MSM strategic missile-carrying bombers. Next to the facility is the plant's main testing base, the Taganrog Yuzhny military airfield. Rare units of Russian aviation equipment are stored at this location. More precisely, rare units of Russian aviation equipment used to be stored here. At the airbase, an A-60 aircraft, also known as the Flying Laboratory, was hit. This aircraft was intended for testing laser weapons. It is a Soviet development. The project was developed in the 1970s as part of the USSR's strategy to create anti-satellite laser weapons. The aircraft is distinguished by a distinctive hump. It is in this hump that a 1-megawatt laser installation is located. The idea was that this laser could either jam the optical devices of enemy satellites or even damage their sensors and other equipment. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the project was frozen, but the Russians resurrected it and spent years trying to bring it back to life. At the same time, they never forgot to threaten the world with their unparalleled weaponry.
The Russian army will soon be equipped with Star Wars-style weapons capable of burning the enemy both on the ground and in the air.
The Soviets developed only 2 such aircraft, so the destruction of one of them is not just a painful blow to Putin's ambitions, but a devastating one. The Russians will no longer be able to recreate their flying laboratory, and the Z Patriots know this as well.
Protective shelters, redeployment, never heard of such things. It will soon be 4 years since the start of the special military operation. The idiotic internet shutdowns didn't help either against enemy UAVs, which are controlled in part by satellite communication systems, or against local residents filming footage of the strikes. Probably, an effective measure would have been to relocate the aircraft from a region that is under enemy UAV attacks almost every day.
But the fact that these were drone strikes is by no means certain. The Ukrainian General Staff stated that they used Baz drones and Neptune cruise missiles to strike Russian strategic targets.
It's flying up to somewhere, way over there, high in the sky. Oh no, it actually hit the tall building. That was really quite a hell of a blast, damn. Wow.
During the strike on Taganrog, the Molnia UAV manufacturing facility by Land Aero was also hit. Fires have been reported at the site, according to the military. But it wasn't just Taganrog. Explosions were also heard en masse in the Krasnodar region. The strikes hit the Sheskharis oil terminal in Novorossiysk and the Tuapse oil refinery. In Novorossiysk, oil storage tanks and one of the S-400 air defense system launchers were damaged, according to the General Staff. The extent of the damage is being clarified.
And now about something truly terrifying. On the night of November 25th, Kyiv was subjected to a massive attack using cruise and ballistic missiles, as well as kamikaze drones. The enemy deliberately targeted ordinary apartment buildings with missiles and drones. According to the final data released after the completion of emergency rescue operations, 7 people were killed as a result of the attack. TSN journalist Alina Lisova visited the scene of the bloody events.
A hole in the wall of one of the apartments and walls blackened by flames. These are the consequences of the Russian night attack in the Dnipro district of the capital. An enemy drone flew into this 9-story residential building at around 2:30 in the morning.
The drone was buzzing. The drone was buzzing, that is the UAV. Then there was an explosion. The explosion was very loud.
The strike hit one of the apartments on the 7th floor, which caused a fire to break out there, and the flames spread to neighboring apartments.
My neighbor's apartment burned out. That's exactly the spot. It hit her apartment. And my apartment is next door, but my windows face the front of the building. My neighbor, she lived in the village. She just arrived. Everything is fine there now. The only thing is maybe her dog died.
Due to the intense fire, people on the upper floors were trapped and shouted loudly for help. And some even desperately tried to get out on their own accord.
We lived on the 8th floor.
At the moment of the strike, we were at home. Just a hit, fire. We soaked a towel, covered the cat carrier, grabbed a towel ourselves, and managed to run out quickly.
There was fire on the 6th floor. Well, I don't even know how we made it through. It was just a nightmare. People, a woman was walking covered in blood. People, everyone was in whatever they had on.
We think we were born under a lucky star because if it had been a little more to the right, it would have hit us.
Firefighters arrived at the scene of the attack immediately. They put out the fire by morning. Rescuers also got to work right away. They've been clearing the rubble and building structures since last night.
The fire broke out from the 5th to the 8th floors. Partial destruction of the building's facade, as well as partial destruction of one of the inter-floor slabs in one of the rooms of the building. Unfortunately, during the firefighting operation, rescuers discovered the bodies of 2 deceased individuals. 17 people were rescued here, including 3 children.
The blast wave shattered many windows and balcony frames in neighboring apartment buildings.
It's horrible. We didn't go to the shelter with the child, we just sat in the hallway. It's just a nightmare. Only our windows were blown out. Now we're going to cover them up. All the services are working. I'm honestly surprised. Everyone is polite. We filled out everything quickly. Now we'll cover the windows, but that's just how it is now.
An emergency response center was set up in the courtyard to help those affected. In particular, anyone in need can receive psychological counseling, restore lost documents, apply for financial assistance, and warm up with hot drinks and food.